on Thursday, April 10th at 5:08. The Situate Council on Aging Board meeting. Welcome, everyone. It's warm in here, even though it's kind of still chilly outside. As always, let's do a quick round of round-the-table introductions for our viewing audience. I'm J.D. Miller, the chair.
Susan Gravich Kelly, vice chair.
Pat Carlton, board member.
Russ Paulin, board member.
Elaine Shabari, liaison from FOB.
Kenzie Vanderbrook, representing South Shore Elder Services.
Leslie James, board member. Dee Dwyer, board member.
Susan Pope, board member.
Kelly Walsh, outreach coordinator.
Linda Hayes Kelly, director.
Is that hard to say?
You got it. You got it.
You have so
I
many
stumble
jobs.
over my name.
You have so many names.
Welcome. Dee's been strangled to be our acting secretary today. Thank you very much, as always. I think everyone's packet's got March minutes submitted by Pat from last month, so if you didn't get a chance to take a look online, please give it a quick review now. Does anyone have any comments, edits, changes to offer for March minutes?
No, I moved it. Excellent job, Pat.
I move excellent job also, thank you, Patty.
March minutes, sounds like March minutes.
Yeah,
I move that we accept the minutes of the meeting.
thank you.
Second.
Linda, we're handing it
Oh,
over
gosh.
to you already
So
for
soon? Okay.
your report, unless we want Kelly to jump in here, but
Well, unless you want to run.
she's gonna jump in.
All right, well, hi everybody, happy April. We've had 80 new members registered during the month of March. That's a significant increase and definitely it's been noticeable to anyone who's been around the front desk within hearing distance of what
It's
goes on.
it's every single month, it's
Yeah,
50 to 80.
it is. It is. Continued use of the building hasn't changed a whole lot, but it's steady for the evening, for the groups that come in regularly. Parade committee is done now, and softball is gearing up, so they use the rooms a little bit. AARP, the tax preparation ended today. And actually, I thought they would still, not to say they had appointments next week, but usually they have to come in and maybe answer some questions or deal with some leftovers. But they don't, so they are out. She was very nice about getting me some numbers after she had left today. So they assisted 304 people or couples.
Wow.
So essentially 304 appointments, at least. Because some, and I only knew about a couple this time that they can't complete because there is something in it that's complicated. So we don't make a big deal out of it when we publicize, but they're supposed to be relatively simple circumstances.
Just curious whether you have any comparison to how many people they have last year?
She did say there was more this year, but I don't know how many more. She says, yeah, usually upper 200s, so.
It seemed like there were a lot more people here
A lot of
this year.
I know, the hallways will be cleared, and it's always nice, so we appreciate them a lot. They are amazing how much they do in a
Big help.
day
And they're
from,
very,
you know,
very nice.
Big help.
8:30, 8:45 to 3 o'clock, so it's been a lot. 283 returns filed, 21 had tax questions. So anyway, they were to help 304. But that really increased the parking challenges, certainly, which most people understood or maybe didn't know, but because they had to wait around for 2 hours, it wasn't just the appointments, it was literally people in the building with their cars here, so. And plus, they didn't know the procedures for trying to park further away if they can or whatever, so. So anyway, that probably will help things a little bit. I did attend and was almost going to offer, I attended the select board meeting last month that had to do with the proposal for housing presented to the select board. And so I was glad to go. I'd actually been told about it, hadn't really paid attention. Someone had sent me the report, got a proposal in writing. And then Nick had told me because he had some concerns, and so I went. I mean, I was glad to be there, but it wasn't really a time for me to go and ask, not to say ask questions, but it really wasn't, so I was quiet. The select board had some thoughts or asked some questions, as did some of the neighbors and the public in general. So it was kind of,
About housing?
it was good to hear that too.
Yeah.
So the proposal right now,
That to be housing.
and
A 3-story building.
I can explain it a little bit, but I was almost going to go through the slides, but they've now gone from the town website. They were on the website. Jamie Gilmore had been here, really what was just a
Yesterday.
week ago,
Well,
to do the men's breakfast. And so he included it and we got it off the website, but now it's not there. So simply said, it's a proposal to put housing into the main section of that building. Really maintaining the facade, but really rebuilding.
so,
Without, so the food pantry would have to leave, but the rec department would not. Theirs would be somewhat separated, well, it would be absolutely separated, even the infrastructure has to be separated for them to continue in the gymnasium. So, yes, 63 units were proposed. The front would be what we know as the back, and then this technically would be the back, you know. It's the same group that did Lawson Green, which everybody loves, and Lawson Green are 31 bedroom apartments. This would be all 1 bedroom, the same. So it's a great group, they manage well, they did a great job, they're well known, they're well respected.
did a good job over there.
But obviously there's questions as to does this,
Always the parking.
Yeah.
that's a big giant one, and so their design, you know, very preliminary, but they did one. They took out the baseball and softball field, which honestly Nick minded. But still, as it was explained, it was really, actually, it was just the architect not knowing what else to do at this point, so he just did it, thinking, well, we'll see. And they moved the multi-purpose field to where the baseball field is, and made that parking for the housing site and extra parking for what they assumed would be the recreation use. So not really mentioning us at all at that point, knowing our lot is here and sort of determining that the recreation lot is their lot back there. One of the concerns was that it eliminated, and again, it was so preliminary that it wasn't almost fair to say, well, you took this out. Mike and I really just sent an email just to say, well, I didn't even say, the walkway between the recreation small lot and here is very well used and very important, and they had taken that up. So I just think they didn't talk to me or Nick or anyone that could have told them what the current use actually is, do you know what I mean? So I'm sure that's coming. So all I've said is I assume and would hope that Nick and I are part of the working committee when it gets that far, if it gets that far.
Do you
Well, did anyone indicate, like, hey, you got some real flaws here, so we're going to...
Well, yes and no, maybe tentatively, because the board's very in favor, because it's an answer, it's a solution, yes, to the problem of the building.
But will there be discussions, like with the senior center where they had the big town meetings and they showed the plan and it was an open meeting, is it before the town would have to vote on it?
Right.
Because they would have to come up with,
I do believe so. I was
Yeah.
telling
With
JD, I really almost felt like deja vu because we went through so much of what came up in response to the proposal, some of the public and even some of the select board. It's like, oh, we just did this. You know, just
The
same concerns.
developer is paying for it,
Yeah.
Yes.
so
So,
it doesn't really need the population approval that this building needs.
but I think that, so I guess, then let me rephrase it, will there be an opportunity for input from
Yeah.
the key stakeholders, one
Yes.
of which would be you and the senior center,
right,
on potential
So that-
issues before the town?
yes. So that would be the
Ball
request.
fields and all that.
That would be the
The
request.
parents.
So I have two questions. This is not senior housing.
It is.
Yeah, oh, it is senior.
It is
Okay.
It's just
affordable
like
senior
Central Park
housing.
and
Central
Lawson.
Park, oh, okay, so where's, I guess I don't really.
Oh, right behind Central Park.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so it is
So-
senior.
The
Yeah,
second
so
one.
there's two
Yeah,
buildings.
Yeah,
yeah.
the third one, I got you.
Just in a nutshell,
Okay.
There'll be a fourth.
it's privately managed, so it is
Because
for
of the other one.
62 and over,
What other one?
just like Lawson Green, as
Woodlawn.
Leslie said, but not like
Oh,
the
yeah,
housing
but that's not
authority,
the same as these.
state or federally
It's not affordable
subsidized
housing?
No, and there's,
developments, so separate.
it's not.
Hmm.
Nice.
So, I mean, the
I mean,
people's
there's a
got like the sliding scale.
There's a
or-
scale, there's a
so-
2-tier in Killeen.
These are one bedroom,
They are all,
Yeah.
which means it's not gonna, do anything to the schools. The schools shouldn't be affected by having a heavier
Right. Oh,
load or
right.
anything like that.
nothing like,
And it's over 62, and, yeah, so there, seems like
I
a pretty
mean,
good use.
the developer suggests that maybe not everyone would even have a car.
Oh.
You know, we give a few
Really,
people
my father
rides
drove
from Lawson
until
Green, but
he was 95.
a lot happens,
That's
a lot
why
happens.
there definitely has to be input. The other thing is, what happens to the poor, food pantry? They've been shoved around
Well,
over the
the
years.
poor
They
food
won't
pantry,
move.
the one thing I will say, I mean, maybe they'd rather not leave, but, they would prefer a space elsewhere where they could invite the public in as they used to, so in fact, I think maybe they wouldn't mind something else, and the town
So
would
they
help
would
find
get-
something else.
Something decent,
I mean,
like someone's cellar.
They knew, I mean, it wasn't gonna stay there forever,
Yeah.
so.
How many units did you say?
63 is what's proposed right now.
63, 2 floors?
Three,
Three floors.
I think so.
With elevators.
Oh, so it's gonna be a really very dominant.
So I will only say there is
It's gonna
an
look the
article,
same. They're not gonna touch the facade.
Well, how do
well, they're retaining the facade, that's.
They're retaining the
Look.
facade,
But
but
they
that's
were
a
also
two-story
gonna build it
building.
to,
Right.
you know, anything they had to touch, they were gonna
Yeah.
externally
They
make
put in
it
a
look
swimming
like
pool.
it was the
That's all.
same.
But that's 2 stories, isn't it?
Oh, no, that's
It's,
3, I think that's
yeah,
it.
there's multiple levels in there.
16 level changes, but I think it's technically 3.
Hmm.
I could be.
Yeah.
Counting
Um,
the basement, I guess.
I will just say that if you were considering going to town meeting, which is Monday, the 14th, there is an article on the warrant that I can't repeat verbatim, but it has to do with the select board getting the option to sell or lease that property. So it will prompt a discussion about what's proposed, even though that's not what's on the docket right now, it's just the transfer, I guess it might look like, of sale or lease of that property, of the school building property land. So that is something that I think some people might wanna know, and therefore might
It's
wanna.
good that you were there to hear.
Hmm?
It's good that you were
Well,
there to
people,
hear.
well, the neighbor had sent me something, and Rich, who is the food pantry director, sent me something, and then Nick sent something, so I guess I wasn't paying attention, but yes, I was happy to be there. So, anyway, that is it, and actually Jamie had the discussion, and I couldn't sit in at the breakfast at that point, I meant to. But anyway, I guess he was just being a little bit mischievous and said, well, maybe we should move the senior center and build a new one at the town hall, because it's gonna need to, you know, like Marshfield almost had to double, well, Marshfield did double.
They did.
And so then maybe town hall could move here, and so that was a discussion I missed, but,
Wow.
I think he said he was just stirring the pot a little bit,
Take you out and shoot you, right?
but I did suggest that, it does kind of, what I wanna say, corral us a little bit, because then
Yeah,
there's
where are you gonna
really no options but literally to go up, which of course we don't wanna do, so. Anyway, there'll be more, and I was thinking of, but there wasn't much to the slides, it was just, like I said, a very early rendition and design of the layout. The tennis courts would stay, and the tennis courts are, two of them, or one of them actually at this point is being converted to pickleball courts. So that's still going, that's still happening, so they're retaining all that stuff. Nick's got concerns that he thinks parking needs to go on the other side of the gymnasium, which it always did. And they do hope that in the process, they would get another chance to look at the traffic, and, the potential discussion about Cudworth
Cudworth,
Road.
yes,
And, it's always been proposed one way, cut it off, this and that, so anyway. It's another chance to look at it. But, which we did when we were
Yep.
talking about this. So, we have the student work from the high school on display downstairs in the hallway, and the middle school students are coming in, close to mid-May for a month. And we'll also be having a reception if anybody wants to, join for that. That's going to be Tuesday, May 27th, after the holiday. Social day program did have a couple changes. We increased it, we lost, we didn't lose, one or two actually, one person ended up leaving on Monday, and then one person who was both Monday and Wednesday. So we were able to add and temporarily have one more than normal, but that's a good thing. But we're still looking at what else we can do for our wait list, just because people are happy to be there, those that are coming and their caregivers, so there's not a lot of movement until there has to be
Yeah.
on their end. St. Patrick's Day parade, and the month was a success, I think. We did, Kelly and Joe manned the bus with a couple of other volunteers, and myself, Gail, Joe's grandson, and Maria walked and danced, Jean Young. Anyway, we had a good time. It was a big parade. It was a huge parade, but it was a nice day, and we also did our best the rest of the month to honor the holiday, and some of that's in Gail's report, but we did have a lunch where Fred did for corned beef. It ended up being 75. I mean, it's always a little, you never know, like he actually had to go out and buy more corned beef, a few days beforehand, and it takes a while to cook it and then it shrinks, and, then he finally came up with, we could increase the number by 10. So we just never quite know what he can manage, or what they can manage, I should say, in the kitchen. No movement yet on filling the assistant director position, but we are going to repost, we need to repost, and Bob and I are working on the job description, just in terms of also assessing current staffing and staff roles and needs, just to make sure that we do it right. I am still, assisting with kitchen volunteers and some of the volunteer needs, as are both Jill and Gail, as able. But again, we're just trying to assess where that role will fall, since it was going to go from the activities coordinator to the assistant director, and just now we're just thinking about that. And it's busy. We are trying to onboard maybe a few more volunteers, but and also have some tax work-off applicants to try to place, so it's kind of in flux at the moment. We also are fielding a few high school volunteers, which we're happy about, but a couple are trying to fill their hours. One is just continuing to do it. He doesn't really have to, but he's managing our tech time one-on-ones until, well, actually we thought it was until he graduates, but actually he may do it for the summer too, which is very nice.
That's good news.
We also, nicely enough, and Kelly is managing one, and I guess I had the request for the other, but intergenerational requests. I met with a small group of middle school students who then want to do one intergenerational activity where they're inviting or asking some seniors to go to the high school and participate in a connectivity sort of discussion group where they may share experiences together. And then Kelly received a request and is managing another activity in May. That would be Bridging the Ages. A game night, early evening, or late afternoon actually, where they play games. And we used to do that, JD can attest, and anyone else from Rotary, a because it was the Young Rotarians, the Interact
Yep.
Club. And we used to do it in the old building, it was fun, we got pizza, so, we can probably
Yeah,
go beyond.
everybody had a blast.
It was great, everybody did have a good time. So we think we'll use the big room, and maybe if it's nice, they can do cornhole outside or inside, and we could bring out the ping pong tables. So we'll be advertising those both in the newsletter, but hopefully if somebody's interested, it would be very nice. And I actually will say, on both fronts, but the young middle school, they're both doing it for their civic action project. So the middle school students are identifying a lack of, and it's actually very astute really, a lack or a limitation to the opportunities for the ages to interact. And we say that with the age-friendly stuff, you know, action plan items, that there should be more. So they identified a good need and are trying to bridge that. Kelly's words.
Good.
So it's very nice. I did complete the 24-week Tai Chi for healthy aging that I've been doing. 24 weeks, it's a long process. We do invite people to join after each 8-week session, because that's a redo of lesson 1. I will say, however, one woman made it through the whole 24 weeks out of probably 10 that might have started. Now, some are very enthusiastic. Some make it through 14, 15, 16 weeks, you know what I mean? And then say, oh, we'll be back, and then they don't come back, because it's
24 weeks.
It's a lot. One woman continues to come no matter if she's been doing it since we used to do it at St. Mary's. So, and now I am starting with maybe 8 new, as well as probably 6 or 7 that might have started 8 weeks ago. So they're still in it. So there's ebb and flow with the group.
What day of the week is it?
Thursday, right? It's Thursday afternoon, which is kind of too bad because it's also when we can fit in some special things like special lectures or presentations or entertainment or whatever. So sometimes like, well, which do I do? They might want to go to the other things and not come to Tai Chi, and frankly, sometimes I would like to go to the other things and not come to Tai Chi. So I don't know, sometimes it got moved from Tuesday because we had to fit something else in, and I just took the Thursday. So occasionally they're open to changing the time. But it's a great program. And I've been trying to shore up my Tai Chi knowledge by taking Tai Chi as well with Fred at night and on weekends. And actually,
Wow.
it's a lot. And it's a whole different ballgame, but I'm just trying to be a little more aware of the information I'm giving to people as it relates. Mackenzie took Tai Chi with,
Is it the same time as After the Mind?
it's exactly the same time as After Your Mind, yes.
Wow.
Once a month, but yes. So anyway, it's good, I'm happy to do it, I guess. It's a nice opportunity to help some people out. I can go to Kelly at this point, I feel like, and then I'll come back with the other reports, because she's next, if you're ready for that, Kelly.
I was here last month, so I won't be as long.
Oh, right, you were here.
I was here last month with Erica though, so it's
No,
more
but
kind
thanks,
of
that
about the
was a lot.
collaboration. My newcomers meet and greet, I kind of have the same blurb there, but this program has been met with positive reception from all who attend. They really love the facility, love all the programs that we offer, and then I see them coming in regularly, so it is kind of nice to see that. And I enjoyed it, and Linda had certainly covered for me when I couldn't do it, but I love the meet and greet. I feel like I'm like parading around this beautiful facility, and it works out really well. So that has
And
been
you've
great.
seen a little bit of a slow ramp up on that?
Yeah,
Good.
I have, and I don't know if it's weather or
Could be, yeah,
whatnot,
could be
but
weather. Sure.
definitely,
But
you
also
know,
maybe promoting it, I
Yeah.
mean, the way it's sort of,
Once-
it's easier to like,
once
you
people
can
know
almost
about
see
it.
it in
True.
the newsletter.
Yep.
It's one thing, and I don't mean to interrupt,
Yeah,
but
no.
just to interject, it's one thing, there's a lot of people that come in here that have lived in Scituate and will admit, well, we've been here, forever,
Right.
but we haven't come in yet.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of new people, and especially even couples, so a couple of times I jumped in, maybe couples, but they truly are reaching out and wondering how maybe they could meet other people, so it's a very nice thing to be providing.
Good.
so between like you said, people that have been living here, even some that have already joined the center, but haven't really ventured upstairs or really fully into the cafe, so giving them proper tour, they're, thoroughly enjoying that, so. And then I am doing the outreach support program, which is the second Thursday of the month from 10 to 12. Really not getting anybody for that, but people tend to walk in generally whenever they,
Right,
when
so
they
they
can't
haven't changed
hang.
their behavior.
So that hasn't really changed, so whether we'll reevaluate continuing that or not, whereas people kind of come in anyhow, so. I started the resources for caregivers, separate group from Suzanne's group, that is a caregiver support group. And that is on the first Mondays of the month, and I've done 2 so far. Both have been well attended, and I'm enjoying them as much as the caregivers are. I love to give out any information that I come across, and I love the interaction between everybody that is attending. So that will continue. Our handyman program's still great. Our volunteers that do the volunteering handyman are fantastic, as well as, again, still the Habitat for Humanity. They're doing amazing work for people as well.
Yeah, just a question on that. So are there any like prerequisites for how you qualify to get a free handyman?
So kind of income qualifications,
That's
so I
what I-
kind of feel them out a little bit, and, if they can afford, they're not charging them like a ton if they were to charge them. And so if they can afford to kind of pay a little bit, they will pay for it, otherwise, it is.
I mean, just like, for example, could I use that service? Would I be qualified to use that handyman service?
I mean, so you would, but then they would probably charge you a small fee, yeah. I mean, they're not like.
Yeah, it's sort of
anywhere-
project based too, so
Yeah.
they need to know what you're asking them for.
And someone else did use one and did want to pay him, and it was very,
Right.
very small.
Reasonable.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind paying.
But if we
'Cause
recommend
handyman
someone
is
to
like-
them,
Right.
no questions asked, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, they're great.
Kelly's referring.
I mean, and if certainly they're not gonna go out and purchase, the
Materials.
paint, or if
Right.
someone's painting or whatever, so the person would
Although I
generally.
think they don't. I think they don't think.
Yeah.
I think
well,
That was
some
gonna be
do,
my
some
next
don't.
question, do they paint?
Yeah. Some do.
Can't
some
find any
don't.
handyman that,
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, there are one in particular who really loves her handyman, and he's on the board, but he's not one of our volunteer handymen, so they are out there, but
Right.
these are who have come to us and offered their
Their
services.
assistants, right.
but
Continue to collaborate closely with the social work team, offering assistance where needed on my behalf for generally seniors, and also with the Scituate Housing Authority, which is for local residents. The partnership between our team and the Housing Authority remains a valuable asset to the town. Did a champ workshop, tax work-off by Joe DeVito, our tax person.
Champ workshop is what?
The tax work,
Oh.
CHAMP, sorry, that's the housing, applications for Lincoln Park
Oh,
and,
okay.
Central, for
Okay.
Scituate.
Okay.
But it is a Massachusetts run program, so they can sign up for any of the towns if they wanted to.
Were there changes to the application?
Just what I found was interesting was the way that everyone is dealing with the housing authorities, and that they're not being very helpful. And I'm not saying that about the Scituate one, but in this Zoom, everyone was like, well, the housing authority doesn't know anything that I'm asking them. So that I found kind of interesting, and they were gonna work on that with the various housing authorities that were mentioned.
From the state, so the
Right,
state.
yeah, the state
housing.
was gonna work on it. Like, ours is great, and, we work well, so. Estate planning, there were 2 separate ones. One was over here, and one was at, Red Line Inn, yeah.
could you just go back to the tax work-off?
Oh, sure.
What was presented by Joe DeVito?
So he presented all the different programs that were available. The majority, they do end for April 1st, but there's a whole breakdown of
Oh, this is like the way you can save money,
You can save money. You
not
can
the
be-
senior tax work.
Well, so he kind of talked about both.
Oh, he did.
Oh, that was gonna be my question, because I did call him, so
Okay.
I wasn't able to, he's great guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to come to the session, and, you know, there were definite qualifications,
Yes.
so
Yeah, they
I
were.
didn't get them.
I mean, the programs
Yeah.
he presents are for help with either reductions or
Right.
deferrals or, you know,
But
tax
there, a
breaks.
lot of it is income.
Exactly.
Some is income, some is age, some, if you were married to a firefighter or police officer, there's different, tax breaks for all different scenarios.
Yeah.
But then, you know, and honestly, with the senior tax work-off program, he usually just passes it off to us, just because we manage it, and he knows about it, and he's certainly involved in, making sure people are eligible, that they own their property, that they're 62 or whatever we ask, and right now there's 30 spots, but again, there's no guarantee that we're finding those opportunities. For 133 hours is a lot of hours. You want a significant ongoing job opportunity, so. But we did have 24 last year as well.
Yeah, I saw that you had said how many applicants, I think it was in the minutes or whatever,
Yes.
but, so, I would definitely be interested in probably the next one, but are people grandfathered into this, like, I know some
Yes,
people are
yes,
grandfathered.
that's part of the yes.
So
They are.
then, if the grandfather spots are not available for any newcomers?
Well,
Well,
there's
there are-
30 spots, but there's only 24 people doing it, so.
And I suppose, you know,
But what if
yeah,
the number?
we can ask for more, and it's possible that
No, I
people
just was-
respond to that. They are very supportive of the need. And or maybe for the first time ever, maybe we would have to limit someone's use of it, but so far we haven't had to.
And I have the paperwork of what his whole talk was, he gave me all the packets that were left over, that give you a breakdown of all the tax, not work off, but that you could be eligible for real estate tax rates.
Good.
Meals on Wheels,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Meals on Wheels, they're always looking.
Yes, that was something new that we never actually ended up supporting, but we could, we got the permission to support it, but then it was COVID, and we could go back to that. We should have.
I did a last minute coverage for a presentation, that was
We should toot her horn a little bit, because she did step up, and we were having the Irish Heritage Trail do the presentation with Brenda O'Connor and make bread, soda bread, and bring berries tea and all of that, but then she gets sick, and
It was last
she
minute.
was really sick. So she wanted to just postpone, and because, well, you know, I looked up the Heritage Trail, they didn't even know that there was a video, and there was, and it was a good one, so anyway, she did it all.
Did you make soda bread?
And she also made the soda.
Oh, wish I had known. I
Very
would've come to the bread.
So,
Awesome.
So no, so it was good, the video was very entertaining, and then, I forget his name.
one of the team, the one that chair now, Jim
Jim?
Canavan.
Yes, he showed up and
He
he was
came.
very,
Yeah.
very appreciative and, sorry about Brenda's last minute being ill, and he actually stayed the entire time for the video.
Yeah,
so-
well, I went to see it.
Yeah, so it was good.
They are here tonight, I meant to mention, so, right, following this meeting, and for me, I probably have to leave by 6 at least, but they are showing their film, The Commitments, which is a great one, from the 80s. Each of the sister cities has taken a turn showing a film here. So theirs is tonight, so it's the last one, but it's something all the sister cities have started to do during the winter, spring. So if anybody wants to stay, it could be.
There's a movie at 6:30, right?
It's, yes, very musical.
Yep.
I think I'm good.
All right, Kelly,
Thank
thank
you.
you. So
This-
yes, in your packet then, other reports.
Well, I just add one more thing, which is that Kelly is going to be taking over the grief support group program.
Well, I didn't know if that was ready for public consumption, but.
Oh, is it not?
Oh, no, it's fine with us.
She is, I twisted around.
Wow.
Well, so that is big for Kelly, yes.
Oh, good.
You know, we were concerned at first, maybe that's a lot between the caregiver support group and the number of calls she gets and a few other things, but she'll be great.
I
Yeah,
gave her a
And
whole boatload of
Susan's
stuff.
very
to-
confident, and we're gonna start with the Grieve Not Alone, the initial support group, and then work on riding the wave after that. But, anyway, we're grateful that
That's
she's
great.
willing
I
and,
am very grateful that she's willing.
September.
so, yes, so next in your packet, I believe, is the transportation report. Which again, I mean, things seem to be going almost very smoothly. Stephanie was out for a few days on vacation in between Kelly backing her up and myself, of course, came in. I mean, information's there, the drivers are reliable and know their routine, and the vans are in good condition. Although we would like to get our COA van, a little body work on that. Gosh, the day of the parade, people were washing it and wiping it and
Really? Take a
taking
look
things
at it.
off and putting things on. The insides are beautiful, it's just, a few little knocks and scrapes here and there, which could be improved. But the ride numbers are up yet again.
I mean, it seems like those numbers are also normal for this time of year, like we dip a little bit in the wintertime and now we're up back
Yeah.
up.
And I think we announced last time probably that we had a new driver who then was away, so actually now he'll be getting his training and on the road sometime this month for sure, which will be good, and I think maybe it was announced, but Joe, who's significant, but he does only work, 2 days a week officially for van rides, and then often is our trip guy. So when we are using our own vans to go into Boston or to some sort of cultural location, he does the driving on a Friday, sometimes a weekend. Gail did plan, right out of the gate, a trip into the MFA actually it was for the Van Gogh
Van Gogh.
film in lieu of, or it was the opening day of the exhibit, but we did the film. They were sold out for the exhibit, for entry into the
Oh, wow.
museum that day. It was a
That doesn't
Sunday.
surprise me.
It's a weekend. So we may do that again, but we were there for the film, and it was a fabulous film, and the gift store. But it was a Sunday, and Joe's very
Gift
willing
store is
usually to do
dangerous.
that. We've even got, Tom is doing a Saturday for the Get to Greenbush Day that the Chamber of
Mhm.
Commerce does, so.
That March
They asked
on
us
May
for the
3rd.
van. That's easy. We asked if they'd make a donation, so it's fine. I don't mind doing that with the community, so that's May
Third, isn't it? Yeah.
But anyway, so, we're trying to get the vans out there, and I guess that's it for that, nothing otherwise special.
Yeah, 400 a month is strong.
It is,
Busy.
and then so for activities, and again, Gail's, she's certainly jumped in. So I would say between really trying to hone the newsletter again to be her product. She has graphic arts background, she's got a lot of good technical skills with regard to publishing. So she's into that and has her own ideas about something, so that's been keeping her quite busy, as well as planning trips, which are very labor intensive, and she probably jumped in maybe a little enthusiastically right out of the gate, so really, we probably have 3 or 4 in April, 2 or 3 in May, and into June, some also coming, so that's been something. But scheduling for May and June to get it into the newsletter, as you know, is always a feat. So again, that's why we've been sort of keeping the volunteer stuff a little bit away, but we did start one front desk volunteer and have a few in line that we'll try to work in and get trained in the next month, especially as we start to field some vacations. We are planning the volunteer appreciation celebration for June 27th, but details haven't been fully worked out in terms of the format or the time frame, whether lunchtime or afternoon or a little bit later. So I know last year, we worked with Fred on that and figured that out, and then see what we can all do as a staff. Anyway, she does make some notes about the different activities that she's brought in. The numbers are all up, and in fact, I don't know if anyone has
Those are strong
questions.
numbers,
Some
too.
of them are explained, the community education, which does include, it does include Bob Jackman's classes, the history classes, but not necessarily the one-off presentations that might be considered, you know, community education. So some things we can still work on. You know, we had a great follow-up presentation on the Israel-Palestine sort of conflict in a slightly broader or slightly different take on it, to try to explain some things that might have been previously shared when we did it in December, I think. So we're having, Junaid, is his name, Junaid Yassin, he's offering to come back and do a 4-week class on something, again, more world education-wise.
Oh, wow. Where's he from?
He's from Scituate.
Oh.
And he's been doing things for Duxbury and Marshfield, so I don't really know, but he did come to something, and then he's come to a couple of things.
Huh.
And wanted to offer his,
That's
Right here? Yeah, that's
his
great.
own
Right.
information, he is a Muslim, practicing Muslim, and still has ties to his homeland and his business in Bangladesh, I believe he said.
Yeah, Bangladesh.
So that's something, AAR tax prep numbers are in that community education, but not accurate at all, because I already told you they did 300. So the fact that we show 40 unduplicated, you know, isn't accurate, and we know that. There's not a lot we can do about that, but I could manually add the numbers as guess for everybody else. Cultural, I printed that out, cultural, oh, maybe I didn't put that out, cultural. Well, Art for Your Mind, the Irish Heritage Trail presentation, things that, you know, are of interest, special interest, I guess I would say, do fall into that category, so those are usually good numbers as well. You know, about the fitness and exercise, which is always, you know, big. We've had, you know, some requests to add, we've had a lot of subbing, we've had some shifts, Sue's given up a class on Fridays to someone else, which is good, so that gives her a little more free time. She does do a lot, she's here almost every day. The health screenings, still good numbers, people are always looking for the blood pressure, which is only once a month at this point with the part-time health department nurse. But as you know, also we do reflexology, we do medical foot care now once a month, and her numbers have been pretty good. Although not everyone checks in, but we do have more than 4 people coming in for foot care per month. Recreation, card games, knitting, use of the pool table if they check in for that, which again, we do try to do, and I am in the throes of trying to do the numbers for the annual report for the state. So once I go in to get those, I realize how some people are not checking in or giving us that accurate data.
Data in is on.
So, you know, I can only do what I can do, and, you know, it's something that no doubt the state is interested in looking at the amalgamation of numbers from everywhere, and not necessarily scrutinizing our numbers to see how much we do or don't do, but still, you want it to be accurate, because we are doing that well, and we do like to see that, so. That will continue to be an effort on our part. Let's see, but of course you can read it, but we did have a couple, like Bruce Marshman's offer to do the presentation, informational presentation on history, sort of on baseball cards, with his collection, which is amazing, but a lot of people came. We were using this room, and of course, some people who were interested in that aren't regular attendees, so don't read or realize that we'd love it if they signed up ahead of time, so instead they just keep coming, and we didn't know they were coming. So we just kept adding chairs, but this was a warm room for it. But it was very well attended. We do have Herb Crehan, who's been here before, but he's coming in May, and nicely enough, he chose the 75 Red Sox.
He's
to
the
do
Red
something
Sox
about-
historian.
He is, and that's
Yep.
great, and I guess
knows
this
his
is
stuff.
the year where they're kind of bringing that back and
Yep.
celebrating it
Yep.
because it is an anniversary year. So that's nice. Felting, Gail mentions, is really gaining in popularity and fills up every time she does it, so she's going from once a month to twice a month for us, so that is nice. We do have a presentation on this coming Tuesday, which is supporting the Parkinson's Support Group. so in lieu of the support group itself, it is a second presentation by Dr. Anna Holer, who is well-known, well-regarded neurologist and movement disorder specialist, both with the Boston Health System, which I think had been Scituate Healthcare but has been renamed, and St. Elizabeth's Hospital. So she is talking about updates for treatment and updates in
Good.
research for Parkinson's, which
Yeah.
should be of interest to really
A lot of people.
anyone connected somehow or in need, because she's really great. And we will do a Zoom connection for that as well. So that's this Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the Egyptian downstairs. Anybody wants to come and listen to her? I guess, you know, that's most of what we've been doing and continue to do, and have a lot planned for the summer, even some additional outdoor, maybe evening, maybe late afternoon, maybe mid-afternoon, different days. Friday afternoons are nice, maybe even early evening where we could get some music. So much like what we've done the Labor Day Friday with Fred's former band, but maybe we just want to try to use the outdoors and the patio a little bit more often and do some more social opportunities.
Well, June 7th is
June 7th,
is
thank
our
you.
spring fling dance party.
Yes, so we are bringing in, 4 instructors are joining us from
Fred Astaire,
Stay where Susan takes her dance. And so it'll be a mingling, a little bit of dance instruction, some dance demonstrations by the instructors, which are beautiful, and just an opportunity to get together on a Saturday, 3 to 5. So again, just outside the
with
regular
champagne,
hours,
with champagne.
with refreshments yet to be determined. The hope would be a little, it's a Saturday after all.
A little bubbly.
A little bubbly, yep. All right, so that's it sort of for us. If anyone is having trouble, only because Kenzie mentioned it, so when you come in for your board meetings, that's some of the numbers that are missing for me in terms of volunteering. So you come, you attend the board meeting, you scan your card, you find COA board meeting, and you touch it to say you're here. So that's one number, what gets generated or represented in the statistics for events. But you're also volunteering, so that's a separate button on the left-hand side of the screen. Same time, you use your scan card, it's there, you just may not know it or.
Are you supposed to do both of them?
You could do both of them, it's not double dipping. You are volunteering, you're also attending, you're in the building, do you know what I mean, you're also giving those hours. So once you get,
Unduplicated or whatever.
yes, but once you touch volunteer, there's categories for volunteering, and there is literally board members, so you just add hours,
I just always put
2 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes, whatever it ends up being.
And
That's
that's where I went
Yes,
for that part. I didn't see it on the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
so both is fine, it's, you know. So next year my numbers will be great,
Yeah, gotta pump up the numbers.
pump up the numbers. All right,
The numbers are pretty good now, but yeah, you're not capturing them all. Does anybody have, thank you, does anyone have any questions for either Kelly or Linda?
Well, I just looked at one thing, and you may not know the answer, I looked really quickly on that warrant. That sort of snuck in there like way down the list of things that's going on at the town hall. And it basically is saying that it's to vote on giving the select board the authority to, but it specifically says for housing.
for housing, yeah.
It already is allocating that for housing.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's gonna be used for anything.
Well, and that's why I do believe there'll be, I think, discussion if people realize it's there. The butters brought up that they would prefer to see housing go where housing is now and just be expanded. But what wasn't necessarily said during the meeting is that, well, this would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone in a sense, you know what I mean? We would get more housing, which is needed, in a likely location, and also get to do something with the building that doesn't cost the town millions of dollars.
Because the town is paying how much a year to maintain?
Right now, just to maintain it, heating or what have you, and if we were to knock it down, that would take maybe 3 million, I think might have been the number.
You knocked it down, you've got more parking.
Well, that's true. That's true, and,
I'm
you
guessing
know,
I think there might be a few people in town that would object to knocking down the building for parking.
well,
I'm
you know,
guessing
it's
the knockdown would
interesting.
be heavy.
Well, that's why we're here and not there, is because there was
Right.
quite a bit of discussion,
Right.
you know,
Oh,
out
the
there.
historic,
And we
yeah.
thought we would lose because there was a lot of opposition. It
Right.
sounded like there was a lot of opposition.
Right.
And
Well,
frankly,
there was.
even when we moved to this location, we didn't win the vote by more
Right,
than,
no.
I mean, it was like,
Couple hundred.
80?
Yep,
Close.
yep.
I don't know, it wasn't a lot.
Yep.
No.
So that's why we cut bait, which maybe was unfortunate because now they're still dealing with it and it would have been resolved if we'd been there, but who knows? We can't, we don't know. So it is, it's an answer for the town. So anyway, I do think people should come to the meeting, and there's also, what do I want to say, something else that will probably bring a lot of discussion, and that is on the accessory dwelling units. Even though we've had the program, they're proposing to change the bylaws, the zoning bylaws for accessory dwelling units, I'm sorry,
ADU.
and so there's might be a lot of people involved in that aren't either happy or are for it, so they do think it'll be a long one. Just to prepare you, bring your seat cushion.
Always a good idea when you go to town.
And a box lunch.
Always, yeah, always a good idea. Thank you. Elaine, what's going on with FOSS?
We are getting ready to resume our social activity, presenting a theater production. None of this, none of that, on May 30th at 1 o'clock here. We'll be selling tickets.
So it's live theater?
Live theater, yeah.
Is it none as in N-U-N? or
Correct.
Is it sacrilegious?
No.
No,
it's above
it's been
parochial
very
school.
well vetted.
Okay.
It, through multiple religions, not just Catholic.
And that's May 30th?
May 30th,
At 1 o'clock here?
yes.
It's a Friday afternoon, so in lieu of a movie.
And we'll be selling tickets also here in the lobby for the on the two weeks prior to the presentation.
And that's in the newsletter, and also there'll be a flyer, but that will be in the newsletter.
So it's the same theater group that we've had here before, it's Delvina Theaters, and,
Nice.
Like the one that did Julia Child?
yes, same group. Probably including the same
People.
actresses.
Same people.
So would there be like a maximum number of people? Because I remember it sold out last year.
We have sold it out, we've done it a couple of times, and we have sold it out.
I mean, we seat 90 for Art for Your Mind, so I don't,
Yeah, I think that's what
and
we're
that's just in
planning.
one side, so we could open.
Oh, good.
But because we're using the tables, I don't know what you do for after 9,
Oh, we're using the table.
but, yeah,
Lecture.
We don't use
I didn't think so. So like 8 people at a table, when, so 10 tables is 80 people, but if we can do more, we can do more.
Good.
Sounds good.
Do you know the plot, is it a comedy? or
It's a
drama?
comedy, interactive.
Oh, interactive.
Yeah, they look, I don't have my blurb in front of me. Okay.
It's a class, it's a 50th class reunion
That's it, that's
of
it.
a parochial school,
Oh,
and
I love
it's,
it.
we have good memories from someone who went to Catholic school of those days. So,
So you'll be
hence
asked
the
to
nun,
interact.
hence the nun title.
12 years.
Ah, there you go, so. Then I guess,
So it should be a lot of fun. Again, it's a very good group. We had a lot of fun with Julia Child, and we had a lot of fun with Mae West, so.
I know, I sold out both times. So
Good.
I gotta get my ticket early.
Yep.
That group is great. I went to a couple different ones that they had down in Marshville. And a great crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone loves them.
oh,
Yeah, but they do, they're from the North Shore, but they do come down here quite a bit to the different senior centers. I don't
I
know.
love it's the same people and how they change, transform into the
Yeah.
characters.
Good.
You'll get a great turnout of that.
I think so. It's a fun topic for anybody that dealt with nuns growing up.
dealt.
Yeah.
I
Or
love
was
the
dealt.
word dealt.
Kenzie, South Shore Elder Services, what's going on there?
Oh, I wish I had great news. I do have a handout, however, which I'll pass out. Thankfully, these were printed by the senior center, so thank you. So we had our meeting on the 1st, and I'll give the good news first. The state is actually paying, they're paying slow for everything, reimbursing, but they are paying. And that means that the feds are allowing the state to get into the reimbursement portal. So those are two good things, because it means that federal dollars are still flowing into the state for senior programs and services, and that the state is actually
Able to access
paying
it.
for them. Yeah, that's, and to date, there have been no changes or reductions in services to seniors.
Good.
And when you look at the Aging Access handout, which is, Mass Aging Access is the trade association for the larger group of elder services associations. Mass Aging can actually go out, and they have plenty of people out there. Anything that's a nonprofit cannot do that. They can provide educational services, but they cannot go out and lobby for anything. So this is an association that can lobby. This is for public information. You can share it with anybody that you choose. They've done, I don't know, maybe 10 things like this since the new administration came in, and there was a lot of talk about what's going to happen to elder services. So one of the things that the state is doing is it's trying to save money by reorganizing things. And so I don't know what it used to be called, elder services or the Department on Aging, whatever it was called, is now going to be, I think it's called something like Aging and Independence. So that kind of reflects how they're seeing what they're going to be doing in the future, rather than spending all of their money on institutional care. They're trying to keep people in their homes, which is a good thing for everybody. It's cheaper, it's better for the people, it's better for families. So that pretty much is all the good news that I have. Another thing that they're doing, and what we are doing at South Shore, is looking at where can we save money without cutting services. South Shore to date has made a commitment to not change or reduce any services. Other agencies of their type have already started to cut back services because they don't have the money to continue them. And South Shore made a commitment to continue services out of their slush fund, for want of a better, the money that they have on hand that was actually supposed to tie them through hard times. Instead
the
of
rainy
tiding
day
them
fund
through
or
hard
whatever.
times, it's now tiding seniors through hard times. But they're also looking for ways to save, and Meals on Wheels is actually a place where they think they can make some changes without changing services. They're not going to change the rate that they give them or the amount that they charge, which is a sliding fee scale, as we discussed last time. But they're thinking that maybe they can consolidate the drop-off sites so that instead of having multiple drop-off sites on a single town, they can have a single drop-off site, even if it's a bigger city or town.
Okay.
And that would save money because they'd only have to go to one place with one car, with
Right.
one volunteer.
Saves time and money.
The other thing they're thinking about doing, I guess in some towns, they have a sit-down meal when they drop off the food, and so everybody sits down and they serve them, and they do it that way. That's, the way that they are providing those services to people. And they're thinking maybe instead of that, which is kind of expensive because you have a place, you have people serving, you have the food, you have time commitments, that maybe they could instead do a kind of grab and go. So you can come and pick up a box lunch and then take it home with you instead of having either getting some way to that central location to get it or for a sit-down meal. So those are some things that they're looking at, and probably it'll be a combination of those things, and what will work for one town or city won't work for another. Like, we're really lucky because we have great meals here on site, and you can actually pick them up I believe, if there are leftovers, or if you make arrangements to do that.
We sell them on Fridays.
And Fridays.
Yeah, and then Friday there are leftovers, right?
Right.
You can come in and pick up. So not everybody has that. Not everybody has a chef like ours either. Let's not kid ourselves, you know, where people are on the waiting list for months apparently to get into a meal. But that's one of the big things they're doing. The state actually has already said that they're $1 million short in their funding.
The state.
The state. The state, it's my understanding that the budget has been submitted. There are no big changes to it, but that's going to change. Because it's the uncertainty with what's happening with the federal budget, but the state, the governor has to put in a budget as if they're gonna get the money that they have always gotten. And everybody knows that's not true, but they're not gonna diminish their budget until they find out what the feds are going to be
Well,
doing
that
with
makes
their
sense.
budget. So there's a lot of uncertainty. There's also, the governor's going to submit a supplementary budget so that there'll be an opportunity for the South Shore and other units to be able to perhaps gather some help with what they know already are going to be shortfalls in the budget. So that's pretty much the big news.
Money.
Yeah.
It's always money, right?
Yeah, it's really scary because even with the new focus on keeping people in their homes, which you like, I mean, in order to do that, you need, nurses to come in now and then. You need caregivers to be paid to take care of them. You need meals to be delivered to them. You need all of these support services that come from places like South Shore. And if you don't have those support services, then it falls on the families, and not every person has a family, and not every family has the resources to be able to do it. So it's pretty scary, and I was telling Elaine earlier that I got a notice from, I think it was Evercare, telling me that there was still money in LIHEAP, which is the good news. But that money will be gone by August, and there is no money in the new federal budget for LIHEAP at all. So that means that all of the low-income seniors who are depending on getting some help with their heating and cooling won't be able to do it after this August unless something happens at the federal level. So.
Do you have any idea why South Shore Elder Services is able to have a big enough slush fund to be able to cover some of this, whereas some of the other
Well,
aging agencies across the state don't?
I don't really know, because I haven't been there long enough.
I'm just asking.
And I know that I guess I should say we now, we do run a deficit every month. It's not a big deficit, and apparently they've been running a deficit every year. But they still, like all nonprofits, they have some money set aside in bonds and other things that's there for them so that they can keep going in a big emergency. And our director has made a commitment to doing that. she has decided that as long as they have the money
There you
and
go.
can commit that money, that the people in care are worth more than the money in the bank.
Makes sense.
And of course, it won't happen forever, it can't
Yeah.
happen forever.
Yeah.
Just like us, you know,
Yeah.
they're running money, but there's just, for the time being, when there's so much uncertainty, it's better to have people continue to get their services
Oh, yeah.
and
Being
keep
able to
everything the
straddle
same,
this. Yeah.
rather than transfer that uncertainty onto seniors, who, many of whom are living on fixed incomes, and would internalize all of that. So I really commend her for doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, and they, as I told you last month, they've frozen all of the positions at the senior level. There are no raises, there aren't gonna be any new people unless there's,
Something like that.
an opening, for that person. They're trying to look for ways that they can do things, through IT, rather than having paper or an individual having to do every single thing. Like, you know, you take a piece of paper and you go, like,
AI.
yeah, like,
I
here we
was
go,
just
here we go,
gonna
here you go.
AI, that
You know,
is gonna
but if
make
you can,
everything
you
more
know,
efficient.
even things like changing the way that you do human resources, which is one of their big savings right now, rather than having a whole bunch of people doing it and having to process everything by paper-ish, then having it all done is a huge saving, because the person who used to do it can now do something else, which is necessary, you know, and, I don't know how the others are making those decisions. I only know
Sure.
how South Shore is making those decisions, and they're making the decisions by putting
People first.
the people first.
Okay.
Without hurting their own team.
Yep.
Right? Because I think there are like 120 people who work there, and they're trying to keep those people happy right now.
Yeah.
So, that's
Okay.
all I have to say.
Does anybody have any questions for
Yeah,
us?
was there any discussion about the proposed cuts to Medicaid that are gonna be coming down and what that
There
would
are
mean to?
No, because there's nothing that you can talk about, except for there are going to be people leaving jobs that are essential in health and human services. But those cuts have not all been made right now. And the administration continues to say that there will be no cuts in Social Security.
No, I'm talking about Medicaid, or
And
like
Medicaid.
mass health type stuff for seniors.
So, no, you mean at the state level,
Yeah,
nothing that has,
I mean, it's gonna be at the federal level, but it's gotta come, it's
Yes,
gonna flow
so
down
they're
to the
gonna-
state level.
yes. But there's nothing yet. I mean, that's the problem,
That
right?
was passed last night, oh, the framework was passed last night.
Yes, but that still has to go to the Senate.
And it already went through the Senate.
No, a version of it went through the Senate. If they make changes, I think it has to go back for
Oh, for, yeah,
approval.
yeah.
I forget what they call it, something that begins with a C, like consensus, but I don't know what it's called.
okay.
But yes, and then it has to get, voted on.
Does anyone else have any other questions? I know we sort of gotta get out of here.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for having me.
Thank you, Kenzie.
Any other old business, new business, quick items from anyone?
Next meeting is May 8th, so it's early in May. It's like tomorrow.
Is that because May
It'll
1st
feel
was
like that.
earlier?
Yes, exactly. May 1st must be the Thursday, and then the 8th is the second
Yeah, May 1st
Thursday.
is the first Thursday.
So is there a
May.
motion to close the meeting?
I move that we close the meeting.
I second it.
Thank you, Susan, Pat. Thank you very much, everybody.